You know, you only hear that sound when them Rager boys come round, which means it's Monday night, which means it's time for another episode of FM Rager. Hey everybody, I'm your host Connor Clifton, joined as always by my lovely co-host Ned Gale. Ned, how the heck are ya?
Doing swell. My legs are tired.
Oh, why are your legs so tired?
I've been riding my bike a lot recently, and I didn't know my legs were sore until I walked to this table just now.
Oh.
Right when I sat down, I felt a sharp, not sharp, but like, there it is. It's all sore now.
We've got some Epsom salt if you want to throw that in the tub and just soak for a bit.
Ooh, yeah. Man, I wish
That
we talked about
really
this
helps.
before the show. I would have just soaked from there.
Yeah, no, you do that later on tonight after the show. It's great.
Nice.
So, why don't we go ahead and get into it? Last week, we had a bit of a kerfuffle, a snafu, if you will, with our internet. We got everything fixed.
Yeah.
I got online with the internet people. Got it.
What a sentence.
I got online with the internet people. Got it all taken care of. It was great. You know, had to be a little tough. Had to be like, if you cut my byte by 1 friggin' megabyte per second.
Oh, that was the wrong one.
Finish him.
That was it.
Yeah. Oh, I wrecked him. I wrecked this chat bot that I argued with. Arguing with a chat bot. You ever done that?
Love it. Used to talk to Smarter Child all the time when I was on AIM.
That's what I was thinking
yeah.
about. Do we have any chat bots in the in here?
I think we do have a Twitch bot.
We have a Twitch bot?
I don't necessarily know how it works.
We've
I'm
got
sure we're not
necromancy.
utilizing it.
Necromancy sounding off. Shark pain. Okay.
You say shark pain?
Shark. Like
shark
your
pain.
legs hurt because you tried to fart and shit your pants.
I thought you were saying shark pain, like you had just encountered the street sharks.
I've heard of short pants, but shark pants? Now,
We were watching, that's like we've been doing recently, watching a lot of Fargo.
we've been watching all Fargo. We just finished season 2.
Yeah.
And some pretty great dialogue in that.
A lot of good lines. Someone was talking about knowing someone since they were a kid, and he's like, I've known him since short pants. Just so charming.
Very, very good. We've also just finished watching Vice Principals.
Nick said Sharder Child.
Oh, I think I know where he's focused on tonight, so keep it up, please. Yeah, we just finished Vice Principals.
Oh my God, classic.
Very
Yeah.
good. We're starting over Eastbound and Down. Like all of y'all, we're watching a lot of stuff. And those are the TV shows that we've been watching. And I bring this up.
The media we've consumed.
The media we've consumed, yes. And I bring this up because one of the things we wanted to talk about last week is that we finished the Fast and the Furious franchise, and we have officially begun the Mission Impossible franchise with Jared and Cody. You may have heard them on our last
Our final episode in KPFT. I think we
right.
talked about Fast and the Furious.
That's right. And I think it was it wasn't 311, but it was that week, I think.
No, that was a different. We did our 311 episode.
311 was on
2 years ago.
311 was on a Tuesday this year.
So it was 310
Then 310
to Yuma.
So they were on the Yuma
310
episode.
to You Must Remember This.
Yeah, we've been watching or listening to You Must Remember This as well. And I only bring this up because we've been asking what kind of franchises we should start watching with our franchise crew. I know we've got Austin Powers is up on the list.
Austin Powers is very high on the list for the next franchise we do. We've talked about John Wick.
John Wick, yeah, we've also talked about John Wick. I'm excited for that one.
Who
Haven't
else?
seen any of those. Maybe the Oceans movies.
Oh, that would be really fun.
The Oceans movies.
Cody and I, we saw Annabelle Comes Home on our podcast, Honey, I Shrunk the Binge. And during that, we decided to sneak into Ocean's 8 for like 5 minutes. It ruled so hard.
Yeah, it
It's
was
such
good.
a good time. Yeah.
That's good.
Oh. That's my review.
So yeah, if anybody has any franchise that they'd like to suggest that we watch, please let us know. We'll be asking our guest as well, so you'll get a second chance to sound off on that issue.
What else have we been doing? It's been 2 weeks. I'm thinking about my freaking weekend, but I need to think about my freaking weekend.
No, don't ask me how's your freaking weekend. Tell me how's your freaking week been. That's
How's your week been?
How's your freaking week been?
It sounds like you said, how's your wig been? Which, fine, thank you for asking. Well groomed.
Yeah, as you can see, we're growing our hair out. We're still doing long hair summer.
Yeah, did we officially announce long hair summer? I feel like we need a graphic to really show. Do we have a sample for this either? No, that's not a good one.
We don't have a sample for...
Welcome to long hair summer!
Yeah, so we're rocking the long hair summer this year.
Sorry, I haven't been able to headbang in so long. You know, it's really great.
Stop fucking with that.
If we're gonna pay for it, we're gonna use it.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I've got long hair too, but I don't know if I want to show you yet because I got to show off the Houston Roughnecks hat I got. Undefeated, baby, of the XFL, as you can see.
Wait, rest in peace.
Wait, where's the XFL? Yeah,
it's right on that side, yeah.
Yeah, XFL, Houston Roughnecks, undefeated. I think we went 5-0. So, here it is. Here's my long flowing mane. Whoa. You know, it's pretty interesting because my hair is it's been thinning over the years, and it's actually been gaining some thickness to it, as well as my nails have, thanks to these new I don't know what you call them, supplements or something. I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of collagen.
I'm pretty sure it has the ingredients on the back.
Yeah, it's bovine cum.
Bovine cum.
Yeah, we thought it was bull cum, but apparently cows can also cum.
It's just any spray.
Yeah, any kind of bovine blast is in here, and thanks to that, I have all this extra strength, which was very helpful last Monday. Ned, why don't you tell everyone what happened?
So you can use bovine blasters to improve yourself, but you can't use it to improve your things. And guys, last week, some of my things got in a little trouble. I was leaving work and my tire didn't blow out, but the tread shot off in a fantastic explosion and whipped around my car, really banged it up a real nice way. And Connor was nice enough to come from the office.
Oh, you were like maybe a mile away.
About, yeah.
You were not too far
I didn't get too far. I just got on the bridge ramp and was...
It was a fast move. I was able to get some tools from our coworkers since we left our toolkit at home.
Yeah. Had the spare, had the spare and the jack, just didn't have the socket wrench, which was like... God,
it's very frustrating to not have. Yeah, I need to get one for my glove box for sure. I got one for my glove box, and I just have it sitting around the fucking house because I'm an idiot like that. So I got to put it in my glove box. But this was, I'm really impressed because we were able to get this puppy on and off in like under 8 minutes, man. I immediately called my stepdad. I told him about it. I really bragged. He was impressed. He thought it was really cool. It was really nice. I don't know if we have any photos of the tires.
Oh, God. Oh, actually, I found out I can plug my phone into this.
Okay.
Let's see if you see any weird pictures of, like, acne on my face or, like, bumps on my back that I'm checking out on my phone.
Yeah, those are bumps on his back. Don't worry.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's do... Man, I should have thought about this beforehand.
It's pretty gnarly. I just want everyone to see because it's
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, here you go. So you can see.
Blew the bumper clean off.
Yeah. And then, ooh. Oh, no. That's the money.
There
Look at that.
It is.
Look at that baldy.
Yeah, so that was a retread job for sure. My dad, his birthday was last week, and right before the show, he called me, and we talked about everything, and we told him about this tire being blown off, and he said, oh, he probably put Gorilla Glue on it. And then he started laughing really hard and said, you can tell that one on your show. Just make sure I get any and all royalties. So if you found that joke funny...
Well, you didn't tell it. You just said it. Do you mind if I tell it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Can you introduce me to the stage real quick?
Yeah. Introducing to the stage, playing Connor's dad tonight, Ned Gale.
Oh, wait. I'm playing your dad? I thought I was just supposed to tell the joke.
Just tell the joke.
Okay. Just introduce me one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ned Gale.
They actually hit the bumper. Hey, everybody. How's it going tonight? Recently, the tread came off my tire. Who'd have thought they put it on with Gorilla Glue?
So if you found that joke funny, go ahead and Venmo us, however much you think it's worth, with the phrase at LOL or whatever.
Just put the phrase LOL. We'll know.
We'll know, and then I'll make sure my dad gets every penny of that.
Yeah.
If you didn't find that joke funny, go ahead and Venmo us with not funny LOL, and that'll be fine.
Say not funny episode 106, so it's a little easier to figure out what you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't want to send that money to the wrong people. So, in any case, we did some digging around online. If you've ever thought about, do I know how to change a tire? What do I do in case of an emergency? We got a helpful little video that we're going to show you guys. I'll let Ned introduce it, but whenever we come back, we will have our guest today, and I'm very, very excited for y'all to meet her.
This video is it's a fine educational video, as well as some archival footage of just car wrecks. So let's watch it.
Not long ago, we came through a shattering world war. That's what we're about to show you. But after all, we are dealing with children. And remember that every child is the makings of an emergency. Here comes the first car on ordinary tires. The officer drops his arm. The driver jams on the brake. The tires close to a smooth tread. You know that helpless, hopeless feeling as your car starts to slide under you. There's one. Fortunately, there was nothing in its way. Not being able to stop the car in time. Skid causes fatal accident.
Don't trust your luck.
All right, and we're back. What a great video that was.
Very educational.
Now, I'm very excited to introduce your guest to the show today. Look, this is a community journalist who provides reporting for Houston at the intersections of class, race, and gender. Please welcome Sam Oser, everybody. Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. So, let's jump right into it. Do you remember the first party that you ever attended?
Yes, I do. I'm going to preface it by saying I'm a white passing Mexican. Like, I'm very white passing. And the first party I went to, I was about somewhere between 8 and 10 years old. It was a quinceañera, and it was in a ranch in Mexico. One of my family's ranches over there. And the party was insane. It went until like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't know it, but you know the party's over when your drunk uncle blasts a gunshot.
Wow.
Yeah. So like the party evacuated as soon as we heard the gunshots. And like we were all drunk and tipsy, and I mean even me being like, I don't know, 10, because I was like stealing drinks from the drunk adults. So yeah, that's the first party.
That's crazy. A gunshot is usually what starts most events. I didn't even think about that in the context of a party. You can't start a party with a gunshot. Of course, that's the end.
That's the end. Yeah. Because as soon as it's almost like when dogs howl. You know, as soon as one happens, there's multiple.
There's
so one
far
uncle,
away ones. Yeah.
So.
Wow, really? It set off a chain reaction like that?
Yeah.
Is that pretty common? Is that typical, or is that pretty atypical?
You know, I don't know. That was the only party that I went to in the ranch. All of the other ones were in the city, in downtown Monterrey and like other suburbs. But I mean, I guess it's typical because my grandmother, I remember it vividly. I don't remember a lot of things vividly, but I remember that. She's like, "Oh man, it's happening again. Let's go!" And like she gathered all.
Not again.
Yeah.
Okay, so that can be a little jarring. Then let me ask you, what would you say that your party style is? I'm assuming no gunshots.
No, no gunshots. I mean, well, let me accept if we're in like a gentrified part of town. You know, you always want to. I mean, even not like a gunshot, but like clap of wood, just to remind the gentrifiers that you know, where they are.
Just keep everybody on their toes.
Yeah, one courtesy shot a night, I think, keeps everybody kind of on their toes.
Yeah. But no, these days it's very calm, very laid back. I'm very much an introvert, so I try not to do parties more than like 10 people.
Oh, then you must be loving COVID.
Yeah.
So far, yes. I mean, every now and then I get a little finicky, but a good Zoom call fixes that.
Gotcha.
In college, a lot of my partying was psychedelics, shrooms, and I just still dabble it periodically now, but I can't like so much because corporate work and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh man, my good cousin was a really big psychedelic user in college. Big fan of having like jars of tea in the fridge at all times. Having to leave notes on the fridge saying like, "Do not eat the chocolates; they have mushrooms in them."
That's great.
Yeah, my cousin was very, very into them, and kind of still is, but only at certain festivals.
Right, I feel that.
Yeah. Have you ever taken psychedelics at a festival?
Ooh.
Not at a festival, no. The only, well, like a music festival, the only festival was the Renaissance Festival.
My cousin did the same thing.
I did the same thing.
It's the best at the Renaissance Festival. Like the views of the jousting, going into the secret forest.
The thing about jousting that really miffed me, or my cousin, was the second someone got knocked off the horse, I was kind of sold. I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. The horses are gone. Like I was super there for the horses and their performance, but once the people were like on the ground sword fighting, I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck. Like, bring back the horses. Give me like a dragon.
Yeah, I loved like the backdrop of the jousting, you know, like all those trees. And at one point there was like an eagle or some giant ass bird flying, and I was like, yeah.
For me, when the last time I did psychedelics at Renfest, I'll just admit it. I have no cousins. It was a facade.
Your cousin's watching this. You're like,
what?
Why are you playing with me?
So I took psychedelics at Renfest, and I freaked out because this guy dressed up as a centaur and was walking around, which for those at home who don't know what a centaur is, it's a half man, half horse being, and it freaked the hell out of me. And I ran off into the woods at night without my glasses, and I got very scared. And I think...
Oh, no, you took a big dose.
Oh, yeah. Well, because someone was like, oh, I don't think these are working very hard. Do you want more of them? I was like, okay. And then I realized, oh, you have a much higher tolerance than me. I'm going to have a bad tolerance. And I remember very distinctly, and I feel so bad for this person, but I'm wandering around in pitch black woods. I can't see anything. I'm freaking out. And I stumble upon this woman who's probably also having a bad time. And I'm just so out of my mind. I'm just like, hey, I'm lost. Can you help me? And she's like, no, and runs in a different direction.
I was going to ask you the same thing.
Oh, no. So I just cannot do that anymore at all.
All on Barbarian Weekend.
So what's your party style now? I mean, you said 10 people, but I'm guessing you're not doing psychedelics with 10 people, or maybe you are. I don't know.
No, usually if I do dabble in psychedelics, it's like at the beach with like 3 or 4 friends. But I really like throwing dinner parties.
Ooh.
So like such basic bitch shit. Like seriously, I'll like make the table and like put out things. I'll be like, you can't sit at the table until the food's made.
I love that.
Do you have someone bringing out each course for you guys, or is it just
Oh,
you doing
no,
it?
no. I'm usually the person that does that. Or conversely, depending on the group of friends, I'll be like, the food's made, go get it.
Go to the trough, you animals. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the plate on the table, go get it.
So another question we like to ask is how your party style changed from middle school to high school to beyond. So this like transition of you go to your quinceañera at 10 years old and where you end up to now throwing these dinner parties.
Right. So, all the quinceañeras and weddings and those parties that I went to were very family stuff. So, I was just a kid there. I didn't go to any kid parties in middle school besides like, birthday parties at a skating rink. High school, I didn't party at all. I hated everybody. Um, and then in college, that's when the psychedelics and, the cannabis started happening. And college was a lot more fun because it was a lot of mixing of cannabis and alcohol and psychedelics. And I think I went to a few ragers in college. And then now these days, I don't know, I guess I'm just old. I like dinner parties.
I think I would prefer a dinner party over a rager any day at this point. I
Yeah.
just like a good meal.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, give me some of that goat cheese.
Oh,
What
man.
is you said you've thrown several dinner parties. What is like the crown dish of all these dinner parties? Has there been one that's been like legendary?
Yeah, so my friends have a favorite dish that I make that is tomato soup, but I make it with hummus instead of like heavy cream. So it's like straight up vegan and creamy as hell. But then like I always have like a side of goat cheese to add into the tomato soup, and it's just decadent.
That
It's good.
that sounds like the right word to describe it. That sounds very good.
Yeah, that sounds
It
delicious
is.
as hell. Man.
And then my husband's ribs. My husband's ribs are always a fun favorite. So
From
with his
Ooh.
ribs and my tomato soup.
his actual ribs, or are you talking?
Oh yes, yeah,
Okay,
his
just to
actually
make
he
it-
takes them off and
I should have mentioned this. We do party like we're cannibals. We party very hard.
Yeah, you said cannabis. I didn't know if you like mispronounced or something. I got real confused for a second. This is great. I love talking about food. I love making food for people. I'm kind of a real big snob about it. If somebody doesn't like something that I prepared, I try to throw it away. I think the last time I made food for Ned that I threw away, we had like some leftovers from some bad curry, and I could tell that you were for. It was like that beef curry where it just wasn't good, and I should
Oh,
have used
yeah.
pork or chicken. I just fucked it up, and just seeing someone not enjoy what I'm eating, ugh.
Yeah.
Just chunk it out. Go to Whataburger.
Just chunk it out.
I can't do that at all. It makes me feel so bad. So yeah, I totally relate with having a dinner party, and I will stand and let everyone take a bite and just be like, okay, now I can eat. Everyone
Now
likes
I
what
can
I'm
eat.
eating.
He follows the fork or the spoon to my mouth. Just that hard gaze, and it's intimidating.
That's funny.
Now, do you mind if I ask, where did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to UHCL, University of Houston Clear Lake.
Oh, right
Okay.
on. I'm from Clear
I
Lake.
went nice. Yeah, I went to San Jack first, San Jack Central in Pasadena, and then I went to UHCL.
Nice.
What did you study there?
At UHCL, I was a double major in literature and communications. My communications degree was a focus on journalism.
And
Right on.
there it is, my perfect segue. So, like I said in your intro, you are a community journalist. You are
Yeah.
listed on Facebook as Sam the Unconventional Journalist. Now, I wanted to ask, what inspired you to go down the road of community journalism?
Well, so when I graduated from college, I knew I didn't want to be a journalist because, it's all bought and paid for propaganda and shitty hours and shitty pay, just to lie, Not to say that there's some there's good journalists out there. They're just really bogged down by the corporate media machine. And said that I was going to be a teacher. But anyway, I got my corporate job, went into activism. My first activism was cannabis activism. I mean, I'm smoking this beautiful leaf. Why isn't it legal? um, But I'm definitely have like a lot of privilege. Obviously, I'm white passing, class privilege. So when I did my cannabis activism, I learned about, the war on drugs and how it disproportionately affects Black people, prison, industrial complex, all that stuff. And I started really realizing how all of these different facets of our life puts profit over people. And then about a year or two into my cannabis activism, I was like, I can't just be like a one issue activist. So then I tried to go into electoral. I volunteered with the Harris County Democratic Party for a very brief amount of time. Um, and then I just found my way back to journalism. Amy Goodman came into town and I met Jordan Sheraton at the Green Party National Convention when it was in Houston. And I just kind of came back to it. That's it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you worked for any, for lack of a better term, corporate or commercial journalism outlets before?
No, I haven't. There for a little bit, Jordan Sheraton had a news outlet called Truth Against the Machine. So after work, I was editor-in-chief for that. That went to hell because of a whole bunch of lies, honestly. And then he went on to do Status Quo, which I did some work with Status Quo. But Status Quo is a lot more national, and I'm very Houston. Like,
Okay.
I'm a strong proponent for, like, you need to see what's in your backyard. And Houston's my backyard. So I kind of went away from Status Quo. I tried to do some work at KPFT that didn't pan out. So now I'm at All Real Radio, and I have a show called Left of Liberal. So I've been reporting essentially for like the last 2 or 3 years, and I have about 2 or 3 years worth of content just spread out across the internet. But now these days, it's my Facebook page and All Real Radio.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the story of that,
How you got there.
how I got there.
Now, how has the pandemic affected the way that you gather information and write your stories?
Honestly, not too differently. I think the only difference is that I don't go to in-person activist meetings anymore. Now it's just, Zoom calls and seeing stuff online. A lot of the reporting I do is based off the activists' work because, we know that flooding is an epidemic in Houston, but do we know of an activist group that's fighting back? A lot of people don't, but there is. It's Residents Against Flooding, and they have proof about a falsified flood map, which I interviewed them about it last week, and they have proof of a falsified flood map in Houston, and it just really makes you wonder how many more of it is in Houston. Um, but I mostly just glean a lot of my reporting from activists and their work. Because it's just not enough to give people the bad news. Like, give
Yeah.
people, who's doing what to fight back, and here's what you can do to fight back. So that's how I go about it.
So, I am a former journalist. My brother is a current journalist. We debate journalism ethics all the time because he's also got a Twitter following where he kind of shares his opinions. And we both grew up being told that journalists never share their opinions no matter what.
I was taught that too.
Yeah. And yet, when I read your reporting, I think this is some of the most valuable reporting out there, even though you are very clearly sharing where you stand on these things. So what do you, like you just said, you were taught that. What do you have to say to people who are teaching that, to people who think that?
So something we need to realize, and I have a little bit of homework for you guys if you guys haven't done this already. 5 filters of mass media. It's a YouTube video. It's 5 minutes long, narrated by Amy Goodman. It's based off thesis by Noam Chomsky, and it goes through how how the corporate establishment really manipulates the media to corral people to a certain to a certain, it's manufacturing consent. And they do it through corporate media. And if you understand that we live in a fascist country, if you understand that we live in a corporate fascist country, if you understand that Trump is a symptom of a system, right now, and I think forever, neutrality is cowardice in the face of oppression. It's a centrist thing. Like we have to openly and brazenly say, this is terrible and this is happening. This is what you can do to fight back. Like, that's just what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely get frustrated by some of the things that I have participated in and witnessed in mainstream local news in terms of just like maintaining neutrality and not revealing our bias when we're actually are very clearly revealing our bias. We're just being very careful about the words we're using based on the guests we have or the questions we ask. It's like,
Right. And
ugh.
it's very frustrating. I have fought with some journalists, particularly Jacob Carpenter of Houston Chronicle, who does the education beat. I used to be very mad at him. I'm not too mad at him as much anymore. But when I was really focusing on the district takeover of HISD, which is still like on the brink of happening, I was doing a lot of reporting for that, and Jacob Carpenter wouldn't report on so many things. I wrote an article about how he like perpetuates propaganda, and I dissected one of his articles. The Waltons, the people who own Walmart, have their sticky little fingers in the pockets of HISD trustees. They also fund Teach for America, and HISD has a contract with Teach for America. But the Waltons themselves, $15,000 to just one of the trustees. And I, I begged him on social media. I was like, could you please report on this? Like, you don't even have to credit me for my research. Just please report on it, because he has a bigger outlet than I do, right? Face the facts.
Yeah.
But he didn't, and he wouldn't. And I don't know if that was just him, if it was just his editor, because at the end of the day, journalists, whether we like to admit it, they're working class people just like the rest of us. They still have to buy, they still have their paycheck, they still have to put food on the table. If they rock the boat too much, they're out of a job.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to really accept that. So that's why I said I'm not as mad at him as I used to be. But I've like begged him to report on the Waltons and how they have their fingers in HISD, and he didn't. So I understand what you mean about being frustrated by local journalists.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I've seen on your Facebook time and again is you are showing, like you just said about the Waltons, you are showing how political money is being moved around the city. I saw what you're putting together on Mayor Turner, loved it. And I was lucky enough to watch your interview with the Harris County Democratic Party chair, or co-chair, I believe. I forget, but you had them explain exactly what a party chair does. And I just thought that that was so valuable to have a whole segment of just educating people, because I'm a big Politico fan, and they'll throw out a buzzword or a committee, and they don't really explain what that committee does in the context of the article, and they kind of leave me having to do a bunch of other Google searches or Wikipedia searches just to get some information and understand what does this actually mean. So I really value the fact that you're providing an educational context for all these things that you're covering. And I have to ask, beyond the activism aspect, why is education so much a part of your style of journalism?
Well, exactly what you just said. Like, you didn't know, right? We have so many Democratic voters in our city who don't know anything about the basic constructs of the Democratic Party. They don't know anything about committees, resolutions. Sorry, I was burping because of my beer.
Hey.
Yeah. Like, they just don't know about any of these things. And I mean, that's okay. Like, it's not a bad thing to be ignorant of these things. You just have to be willing to like learn about it, right? But that's why I include just education in my topics so much. Like recently, I interviewed a woman whose husband is in a concentration camp in Montgomery County. I call them concentration camps, detention
Yeah.
centers. Um, and in the interview, like on my Facebook video, I also put like, here's some homework. Why detention centers are actually concentration camps. So that way people can really understand that. Because if you only see one piece of the pie, but you don't see the other slices, then like what's the point? Right? So I just try to make sure people see the full story as best as I can.
Yeah. It really. I went to school with this guy who wrote a thesis on. Oh God, what was it? It was more like political communication, because we started school during the 2007 financial crisis. So his
Wow.
whole thesis was about how the government will pick and choose what to call an economic event. So the metrics he aren't always followed necessarily in labeling a depression, a downturn, or other meltdowns, different stuff like that.
Right.
And it, I only bring this up because that was something that could be quantifiably measured in terms of numbers, sheer numbers. But you mentioned this concentration camp versus detention center, and all I can think is that this is your activism at work and shining a light on this language of fascism.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
ooh.
Journalism is my activism. Like, that's why I don't think I could ever have it as like a full-time thing, because as soon as you put money into something, it corrupts it, whether or not you want to admit it. I'm in marketing, and at least in marketing, there's no self masturbatory illusion that we're doing something good, like it's marketing. Whereas in journalism, it's like, we're the fourth pillar of democracy, we're the watchdog of the people, when they're not. Like these establishments aren't. So like, journalism is my activism, because like the just deconstructing the Orwellian terms is just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I collect propaganda pieces, and it's just so much fun to really see what's propaganda and how it forms.
Do you have any
Yeah, I
on
was gonna
hand
say.
that you can show up to the webcam?
Dude, hold on.
Yeah. All right, hang tight, y'all. Sam's gonna go get some propaganda to show everybody. I'm
I'm
very
stoked.
excited
Yeah.
for this. Oh my god. I don't know if any listeners at home are aware, but I follow this account of Soviet propaganda. So all the Soviet Union propaganda that they have distributed throughout that nation's existence. This great Instagram account. You should definitely follow it. I was talking about this Soviet Union propaganda account that I follow. It's very
Oh,
cool.
fun.
Yeah, I'll send it your way at the end of this.
Yeah, send it to me. So this is a Newsweek special report that outlines all of 9/11. It's from September 24th, 2001.
Okay.
And what's creepy about it is like, there's a part in it where it talks about like your liberties, and it outlines like how they're going to secure the border and do things differently. And there's like even thing about like eye optics in there. And then there's like a piece in here on how to spot a holy warrior, which is basically just racial profiling.
Jesus.
It's great. I mean, it's not great. It's terrible.
No, I get you. I've been on record saying like, no, dude, I love Dick Cheney. When I hate him, I just like to study him.
Yeah. I'll just show you these. These are like more right wing. I have some left wing, but this is Police Inc. Publications. This was actually in Webster, and it says the war on cops, and it just has it's page to page of Republican ads, all like for the Webster area in Houston.
Yeah.
I got this in the mail. This piece is a little scary because it was from Rice University in 2011. Getting to the territorial endgame of an Israeli-Palestinian peace settlement. So they had a whole ass seminar done by an Israeli general about a peace settlement in Palestine. And it's this like educational document just full of like peace shit. It's all propaganda. It's like bound. Like,
Wow.
it's crazy. And then so some more left-wing ones. White punks against Nazis, fuck off.
Okay.
And then this is like a self-defense one. And then film the police, know your rights. And then I have some other pamphlets that's the Fast Food Worker Manifesto, Capitalism, Class, other stuff. But those are like my favorite ones.
Have you heard of or listened to the podcast Blowback?
Mm-mm.
So it's all about the Iraq War, and they provide context from like the birth of Saddam to us invading Iraq.
Nice.
And it's so good. And they have this whole episode about like, hey, just so you remember, even the lefties on MSNBC and SNL were making fun of Muslims and Saddam to get you excited for this war.
They were.
Yeah, and they play all these clips, and it's very chilling and jarring. Oof.
Well, like that's like the once you realize that media and propaganda is like bipartisan, it's hard to not like. How do you pretend to be neutral when you see the media machine like actually acting? Like, I don't know. It's a whole thing in my brain.
It's pretty gross. So what are you hoping the future of community journalism looks like? And while we're at it, mainstream journalism.
Well, so what infuriates me about mainstream journalism is that they have all of the tools at hand. Like, you know how handy it would be for me to have a lawyer, to have like a data analyst? You know, like these things, they have camera crews and everything they need to capture environmental racism, to capture the eviction crisis, to really bring a microcosm to these silent emergencies. And they do not. And that's the point, right?
Yeah.
So my hope for community journalism, since mainstream journalism isn't going to do that, is to weaponize the tools of journalism to fight back. Like just basic advocacy journalism, muckraking, but then aside from that, giving the mic back to the people. I've been seeing that with Status Coup, Unicorn Riot, The Intercept. Those are just some ones off the top of my head. But then like even more community focused, I guess it would just be pointing people to the activists. Like, here's the people doing the work. You're upset about this, go. So basically doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Great. Now, you mentioned that Houston is your backyard, and you think everybody should look into their backyard. So, speaking of your backyard, you've also told us that you have a garden with wildflowers, a wildflower garden.
Yeah.
You have a wildflower garden, but you're considering planting roots.
Moving for the root vegetables.
Yes.
So,
Very exciting.
we went ahead and made a little game for you called Know Your Roots,
Oh boy.
where to prepare you for your venture into planting root vegetables. We have a few trivia questions where you got to guess the root.
Oh shit.
And these are fun facts about roots.
Super fun.
Okay. Question 1. This vegetable was modified by British agricultural experts so as to help provide World War II soldiers with better night vision.
Carrots.
Yes. All right.
Wait. I gotta pull up carrot.
Yes.
Okay, for
So
the listeners at home, we got a very strong carrot here.
Yeah, we got a buff carrot up. It's
That
really
was-
gross looking.
Before we gave it carrots, that's after.
Yeah, now it's really strong.
Yeah.
All right.
It's really strong.
All right. Question 2. if you are afraid of this root, if you are afraid of this root vegetable, then you likely have allium phobia.
Beets?
No, it is garlic.
Garlic?
I should have clarified. If you're afraid of this root vegetable, you might also be a Dracula.
A Dracula.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Singular Dracula.
And you can learn more about it in the documentary Garlic is as Good as 10 Mothers by Les Blanc, which we saw at Zine Fest a couple years ago. Very cool.
And if you're ever lucky, Alamo Drafthouse does a screening of it where they show it and then cut onions at the front of the theater and blow it into the audience's faces.
That's amazing.
It sounds intense.
All right.
Next one.
Question 3. People used to believe, falsely, that eating this root vegetable could relieve a toothache or tired feet.
Onion.
Parsnips.
Parsnips.
Which
that sounds like an onion.
It does.
It sounds onion-like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe it's just because you said onion earlier that I chose it.
And then I don't... Do you have the image for this other one here?
Which one was it?
The jack-o'-lantern one?
Yes.
All right. So this root vegetable was used as a jack-o'-lantern before pumpkins were popularly used.
Turnips. I know that one.
It is turnips, and we're going to show everyone what a turnip jack-o'-lantern looks like.
Freaky looking. They're the best. I kind of wish we went back to turnips. They're so scary.
They're freaky. How big is a turnip? I'm having trouble imagining.
They can get really big. Like, I mean, there's some like this small, but there's some like big, that big as a potato. Like, it just depends.
These faces
They're really good for colds. Like, if you're sick, they have all kinds of zinc in there.
Well, you're always sick, so why don't you just bite into a turnip?
Sick as hell.
And then you had a thing, didn't you?
For what?
I see one other root vegetable up here.
Oh yeah,
Did we
write a quiz? We wrote a question for it first.
No, we didn't. You messed us up.
Oh, I thought we wrote a question for it,
so
and then
Ned thought that rutabagas were popularized in Gullah Gullah Island, the Nick Jr. show.
I was trying to explain to Connor. I was like, the only thing I know about rutabagas is they ate them in Gullah Gullah's Island, and he's like, they didn't do that, and I was like, oh, what kids show was that? And it took us maybe an hour to figure out
one episode of Allegra's Window,
a single episode where they eat this root vegetable. It's rutabaga. The last one.
It's rutabaga. I was like,
yeah. All right.
Oh, the image isn't even here anymore. Where did it go?
But in the show, they call it blue zutabaga instead of rutabaga. So it was this whole...
Which made it impossible to Google because it was Zutabaga, like some sort of zoot riot. I don't know.
Zutabaga.
Nice.
Here we go. Somebody in the chat said, from what I've read, the carrot fact is not true. They use propaganda about carrots and eyesight to hide their new night vision technology. I don't know if he's joking or not.
It all comes back full circle.
Yeah. Well, the chatter in question is known for being a real jokester, so I don't know if he's being truthful or not. I'll take his word for it.
I remember hearing something about that at one point. I don't know. I'm going to Google it, though, later. Thanks, Guy.
That's your homework.
Yeah.
That's my homework.
Yeah. All right. So we are running short on time, so we're going to have to jump into our final segment here. So hang tight. We're going to sing a song.
I'm just getting to it real quick. Here it is. Oh, it was less prepped.
Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
I want a new plug. Tell us what's going on. Tell me all the stuff you're doing after we sing this song. All right, Sam, what do you have to plug?
Oh God, it's getting louder. Why did this happen?
Why is the song getting louder? This is so much easier at KPFT for some reason, where they had no tech.
Everything's just breaking.
We bought this $200 thing and we can't figure it out. All right, Sam, what do you have to plug?
What do I have to plug? Let's see. Falsified flood map interview. That's like first and foremost, that's on facebook.com/Sam the Mullet. That's pinned on the top of my page. Speaking of social, @Sam the Mullet is the handle for all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not as active on Twitter. I know I should be, but I'm not. And then articles, medium.com/@SamOser.
That link's down here.
And then I have my show, Left of Liberal, almost every Saturday on All Real Radio. They have a podcast, but you can also find it on my Facebook page.
Cool.
That's
Hell
it.
All right.
Fantastic.
As always, follow me at Cliftocurrency. Check me out on Facebook. I still won't add you, but I recently changed my cover photo.
Good luck finding him. It's tricky now.
Oh, yeah. I completely removed my last name from Facebook, and I'm deleted almost all of my photos.
Nice.
Oh, man. I've gotten real paranoid about the internet recently. I got to get off that thing. All right, Ned.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
At Net of the Dead on everything. That's how you can trace my bank account and social security number. I'm connected through everything on that screen name, so find me there.
Oh, and one other thing I'd like to plug. Grown Up Story Time is tomorrow night. Blair Alt's going to be the host. They've been so kind to us, and we were so grateful to be able to host.
Their sign's still behind our sign.
Yeah.
I just noticed.
Grown Up Story Time. We'd like to promote them. Go ahead and check it out. Blair's going to be a fantastic host. She always does a great job. We were so grateful to be able to host 2 months ago. They're just getting better and better with every time they do this online version of the show. Go check it out.
Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on the YouTube channel, Grown Up Story Time.
Yeah, and that's about all I got. Sam, thank you so much for coming onto the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, from us to you, go follow Sam, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.